A week from today, we are celebrating St. Valentine's Day. If you are married or if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, I hope you have some exciting plans in store for that very special evening. And if you have some plans, I hope it's not the same thing you did last year. Don't repeat yourself on your Valentine's Day. Come up with something new. Come up with something fresh. If you do one sweet thing over and over, it becomes sour eventually. So come up with new ideas how to celebrate your Valentine's Day if you are lucky enough to have a wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend. If not, call me, we'll drink together. But people who have been married for more than 10 years tell me that they have to find new ways to keep their relationship fresh and exciting. That after some time, things change in many relationships. That all the cute things that you thought are so sweet and lovely about your wife or husband become annoying and drive you crazy. And vice versa. Some of the things that drove you crazy, now after 12 years you think, oh, this is so sweet. Things in relationships change. As we grow older, as we grow more accustomed to each other, we have to keep finding ways to keep that flame alive. That's why I say don't do the same Valentine's Day weekend and date every year. Come up with something new. Come up with something fresh. Something that will excite him or her, will spike up your life. Humans are creatures of custom. We get accustomed to doing things certain ways with certain people in certain times. In the Gospel today, we hear the story of Jesus healing Simon Peter's mother-in-law. By the way, that's how we know that Simon Peter wasn't celibate. He had to be married to have a mother-in-law. And after healing his mother-in-law, people come to Jesus, discover who he is, and bring him all the sick from their village, all the possessed, and he heals, Mark says, many of them. People get used to Jesus' presence. Following morning, when Jesus wakes up before anybody else, and he is not there, they get confused. Where is he? We wanted to do the same fun thing we did last night. Why isn't he here? Where did he go? What happened? So they send envoys to find out where Jesus is. They want to continue meeting Jesus. They want to continue being healed. They want to continue being liberated. They want to continue their relationship with Jesus. But he is not there. When Simon and other disciples find Jesus, he tells them, you know what? Change of plans. We are going to a different village. For this I have come, to preach the gospel in all different places. And Jesus moves on to different towns, to different villages. He doesn't stay in one place for longer than several days. He encounters new people in new ways, and people encounter him in new ways as well. It is very easy to get accustomed to your way of praying. It is very easy to get accustomed to your way of being a religious person. It is very easy to get used to meeting Jesus in a certain place, in a certain time, in a certain way. And we expect him to be there, to do this, to say that. But from time to time, he goes away to different village. From time to time, our spiritual life needs updating because we wake up and he ain't there. Where did you go, Jesus? What happened? What changed? This is precisely what the people in the village felt when he wasn't there anymore. The exciting part of following Jesus is that we need to update our spirituality all the time. That we need to refresh our ways of meeting Jesus. He comes up in a new, fresh way every day. He wants to meet us wherever we are that day. Think of your experience when you were going to your very first Holy Communion. For me, it was a deeply spiritual, also social event. But where I was 30-some years ago, I am not here today spiritually. My spiritual journey has moved away from that first communion experience to where I am today. And it would be impossible, it would be stupid, it would be irresponsible of me to expect the same experience of Jesus today that I had 30-some years ago. Our spiritual life changes. Our ways of experiencing Jesus change as well. We cannot expect to be him always here the same day, the same time, the same way. Spirituality means being open to meet Jesus in a different place, in a different way, in a fresh way. Pope Francis, in October 30th last year, 2014, did something that no other pope did before him yet. He met with the old Catholic bishops in Europe. You know, old Catholics are Catholics who are not under Pope's jurisdiction. Old Catholics are those Catholics who, after Vatican I Council, could not accept the dogma of infallibility. They said, we keep the old Catholic faith without that new change. So they are referred to as old Catholics. They have the same Catholic faith with the one exception: they don't believe Pope to be infallible. So since 1880s, when old Catholics came to be, no Pope would ever talk to them. No Pope would ever meet with them. And all of a sudden, as it is typical for Francis, he invites them over for a meeting. For the first time in 130-some years. The old Catholic bishops from several European countries go to the Vatican and he meets with them. They have exchange of opinions and something unexpected happens. For the first time in 130-some years. During his speech that Pope Francis delivered, he said that spirituality is a journey that begins with encounter that leads to brotherhood which leads to friendship which leads to communion. And Pope Francis said, on this way, change is inevitable. On this way, change is inevitable. Spiritual life means encounter with Jesus, encounter with another human person, encounter that leads to friendship, to brotherhood, and to communion. And as we encounter Jesus, as we encounter another human being, change is inevitable. We need to be open to experience God, to experience religion, to experience church in new, fresh ways every day. We cannot say, it was like that yesterday, it is like that today, it will be like that tomorrow. Spirituality means being open to meet Jesus in different village every day. An ancient philosopher, Heraclitus, who lived in the 5th century BC in Greece, and who was one of the inspirations from later the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, used to say that nobody can step twice into the same river. Nobody can step twice into the same river. Spirituality can be pictured as such a river. Every time you have spiritual life, it is a new, fresh experience. Every time you encounter Jesus, every time you encounter a different human person, it is a new, fresh, spiritual experience. I can only repeat what the Pope said. On this spiritual journey, change is inevitable.